Well, I have to say I'm absolutely delighted to have Chad le Clos, Olympic World Commonwealth Game champion, captain of Energy Standard, drop by the studio to chat all things ISL and a little bit more, because first of all I want to touch on your ISL experience so far in 2020, because 2019 was the first year. You're very involved with the Energy Standard team, co-captain as I mentioned. How would you reflect on the last few weeks?
I think it's been incredible. I think just to be here is a blessing, because a lot of people are not able to train, back home for me. So just to be here and training with such an amazing group, amazing coaches, and obviously being able to race the best in the world, it's a great privilege for me. So I think the last 3 weeks have been, or 4 weeks, should I say, couldn't have gone much better for me. Definitely getting better each round. So I think the first match was a bit shaky for me, but I'm excited for obviously semis coming up and hopefully the final next week.
Well, what does it feel like now to be swimming quite literally your way into form and winning that skins race? That must have been a real highlight for you.
It was a huge highlight. I apologize for my celebration. It was a little bit too over the top because I was so excited. I mean, you must understand for me, that skins meant a lot to me. My family were back home and my dad told me, make sure you win the skins, boy, coming in. And it was a big moment for me, and first time obviously doing that. And it's good to see the team getting better. I think that's the most important thing, obviously.
Well, what was your family's reaction? Because I definitely saw some on social media. Talk me through their reactions, because they're at home in South Africa watching you. It's great that you guys are swimming here for 6 weeks. It's a lot of competition, but you are without your loved ones as well. It's difficult.
Yeah, it is difficult. I mean, but it's amazing because I think they get to see me every second day, and I think just the amount of racing that we've been doing has been really great, and I think it's actually benefited me because I've kind of, like you said, swum myself to form. And obviously, 2 days is tough, and the morning shift is tough, but I think it's preparing us also for future competitions next year. Hopefully ISL can have more competitions and more events around the world, and I think my family are very happy. They know, they miss me. It's been 2 months now, 10 weeks I've been away from home, and I'll do another month to go back to Turkey, but I think they know it's beneficial for me, because back home it's very difficult for me at the moment, without the facilities to train and obviously my coaches and teammates. So yeah.
Can you talk me through that experience a little bit? We've touched on it now and again with James Gibson, the head coach of Energy Standard, and what lockdown was like for you, because you didn't have the opportunity to swim. It's a very different experience for every single swimmer involved.
Absolutely. I think it's completely different. Even in our team, I mean, you get a lot of different people that have been able to train the last couple of months, and some guys who have just come back into training, and kind of me was in the middle, maybe less training than more. It was tough. I mean, we were keeping in contact during the lockdown. Every Wednesday night we had a team call at 8 p.m, a Zoom call with the whole team. So just a bit of fun and catching up and just seeing how everyone was. I think we were counting the weeks down. It was first week 1, then it was week 13, week 14, and we were like, damn, it's been a long time, So I think for me, just getting back to Turkey, a month before I came here, first real training I've done, in 6 months. It was amazing. I mean, James is such a great leader. I've spoken many times before. I think he's transformed Energy Standard, obviously the team that we train with, but also the team that we're racing for now. Really amazing, strategy, and just we've got a lot of great people behind us, I think.
How do you balance the mental and physical battle? Because 6 months or so without training, you're mentally so ready for it. You're ready to get in the pool, but your body isn't necessarily doing what it was before. How do you go about managing that balance and not getting too frustrated with yourself?
Yeah, that's the key, right? I mean, I was quite frustrated after the first match, even though I'd done decent times. But I think just more from the fact that I've used to a certain standard. I think everyone out there, we have the cream of the crop here. There's not many missing in the world, right? This is stronger than a world champs lineup here. I mean, just look at that first match. I said it before: Tressel, Shields, Rooney, le Clos. I mean, the list goes on, right? It's incredible. So I think for me, managing those expectations. I mean, James always says, don't let the highs be too high and the lows be too low. So just floating in between all the time. So I think these last 2 weeks since we've had the back-to-back competitions, I've had zero expectation. I've just been racing, and I think that's the best out of me, when I race, and not focus too much on everything. Of course, the details are going to be bad at the start. The turns aren't going to be crisp, but you just got to have a race.
Is it easier to do that in a team format rather than, because you know that you're swimming for your team, you're swimming for the points, not necessarily yourself and the time? Absolutely.
I think I've said it many times, just to be the captain of this team adds its pressure on its own, because you're walking out there. I mean, maybe that's also why match 1, not getting a win, was quite frustrating for me, I had to wait 3 weeks to get a win, and I see my teammates in the stands looking up, and I'm like, But it's, I think, it goes back to managing everything, you know that you got to swim your best for the team. And I think every race is almost like half a relay, right? Because you know those points are important, those wins are important, because those jackpots, if you can get an extra 2-3 points, it makes a big difference, you know. So I think winning events is important, but also just making sure that you're managing your emotions throughout the 2.5 hours that you're there.
Do you feel extra pressure as a co-captain, as a leader in your team's roster? There are some older swimmers or some younger swimmers. You have a 15-year-old in your roster.
Yeah.
Do you feel extra pressure to one, perform and to be there to support your team and be a leader?
Absolutely. I think it's not necessarily it's an added pressure, but it's also, I think it's more responsibility than anything. You know, I think because, I get to see so many great people. I mean, I've said it many times in the meetings we've had. I think everyone's a captain because so many great champions in the room and older people than me, you know. So I'm very humbled about the role that I'm in, but I do understand that, a lot of guys look up to me still. We've got some 15-year-olds and some 21-year-olds, and I mean, again, 35-year-olds. So we've got a mixed bag, and I think we come together really nicely as a group. We've really bonded over the last 3 weeks. Played a lot of Nintendo Switch in the game room, some card games. But I think we're obviously getting better as the meets have gone on. I think especially the Russian boys have come in and really hit their form, So we've got a bit of a kicker coming into these semi-finals and finals, but it's going to be anyone's match, It's a tough lineup, right?
Yeah. What are your expectations going into this weekend's semi-finals?
I think going into the semi-finals, I think we're just going to carry the momentum. We didn't want to take our foot off the gas. I think we rested a couple of guys after the last match, but most of the guys swam a lot of events. And I think that was just to keep the momentum going. I remember saying, if you need to put me in some extra events, they threw me in 53. I got 7th. I was like, well, maybe that was a bad mistake. But I think everyone's just carrying that winning momentum in. We're quite confident that we will make it through, but also a healthy respect for the opposition.
Having had a taste of victory last year, being the defending champions, does it make you even hungrier to win it again, to make sure that you take that top spot one more time? I
think for me personally, it's an easy answer. I always want to win, right? I'm motivated if I lose, if I win, if I draw, it doesn't matter. Like I just want to win everything, And that's from a personal point of view. I think the team are hungry because of the opposition we're racing. I think Cali on paper, probably the strongest team with the jackpot system. I think London are, us and London are close behind. I think if London had the Aussies, they'd be favourites. So it's an interesting dynamic. I think we know we're not the favourites on paper, if you want to put it that way. But we're quietly confident that we can go all the way, but I know it's going to be extremely close. I mean, last year we had no right to win it, right? I'm not sure who the boys were, but London needed to make the top 4.
Yeah.
And we had to, we had to come top 2 then, if that happened. And they came, I think, 7th and 8th, and we came 2nd and 4th. So it was a freak, chance that we actually could win that at that moment. So I think this year is going to be a bit different, but we're stronger, so we're excited.
Well, Chad, thank you so much for stopping by here at the ISL studio. We wish you and Energy Standard the very best this weekend, and keep playing your poker. You're clearly
we'll see you
doing
around,
well.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.